Hey guys, AJ here. Hey, what's up, y'all? Listen, one thing that I've learned from building weapons and zombies, there's a lot of things that I didn't understand because the other side of the spectrum is multiplayer, right? And since we're mostly zombie players, and every now and then we just play multiplayer for fun, there's some attachments that like you're not gonna fully understand. You can't relate to it because unless you played multiplayer, you're not gonna get it. But since I've been building weapons and zombies and multiplayer for the last 2 years now, I'm just gonna tell you how I build, show you how I build my weapon, and I'm gonna just explain on how some of the what some of the attachments do, and why I would pick this in zombies and I won't pick this in multiplayer and vice versa. I'm gonna try not to make the video as long as I'm gonna try to make it as short as possible. Now, I would build the weapon a little bit differently based on what category that I choose. But since most of the people that I know mostly play with assault rifles and submachine guns, I'm just going to pick an assault rifle. And I'm going to pick the XM4 because it's the first one. So now, by the way, all of this is personal preference. So you can just choose how you build it. But anyway, first off, before I even get started, I want you to look at the bottom right. You see how it was 0 out of 8? So there's 8 different slots, but it's 9 different attachments you can put on your weapon. So one category you got to leave out. So I'm going to tell you what category that I would leave out in zombies and I would leave out in multiplayer. So anyway, let me just start with the optic. The optic is all personal preference. I'm just going to tell you my take on it. The optic don't really matter that much because, you know, it's all about personal preference. So I'm just going to just tell you which one I picked. Wait, which one did I pick before? This is the one that I used to pick before because it had that red dot and it was kind of cool and it's all I needed. But since I've been playing multiplayer, this is the one that I've been picking lately because it's a little bit wider and you can see your enemy better. Doesn't really mean a whole lot in zombies, but since I use it a lot in multiplayer, this is the one that I rock with now. Okay, moving on to the muzzle category. The muzzle category, the first thing that let me just start off by saying this. Every single one of these attachments is important in its own way, but in zombies, what you really care about mostly is having that extra salvage, because salvage is really important. So if you see something with salvage on it and you're playing zombies, then you should pick it. So when this is unlocked, I'm always going to pick this. But since right now, currently, I have every single attachment available to me in this particular gun, I would pick this one only because this also gives me extra salvage, but it also makes my gun stronger at longer ranges. It's not a huge, that's kind of important. The bullet velocity is not that important, and my con is aim down sight and walking move speed. Like when you a lot of people crouch down and they aim down sight when they moving around in multiplayer. So if you're able to move your aim down, when you're aiming while you're moving, you being able to move a little bit faster, you might have a slight advantage in multiplayer, but it doesn't really matter that much in zombies that much. Aim down sight actually matters more than aim moving speed, but it's not that big of a deal. Basically, it's a trade-off, and I would rather be able to, if it's a zombie that's a little bit further away, like let's say like it's an elite or something like that, I would rather have my gun stronger and not worry about aim down sight. So this is the one that I would choose, but if this one's not unlocked, then I would just pick this one. So this is the one that I'm going to go with. I just wanted to explain why I'm going with this one. Going to the barrel category. First thing I got to do is I got to look at every single option I have, because every single one of these weapons is different. So one thing is only one of them has a con. The rest of these has no cons at all. Let me just speak on all of these options real quick. First off, I'm going to tell you the bullet velocity doesn't matter in zombies at all. In case y'all didn't know what bullet velocity does, or you didn't really know what it does, I'm just going to tell you now. This applies in real life too. If you're shooting a bullet and once it travels a certain distance, it gets weaker and weaker. So by the time it hits its target, it's not as strong anymore. But if it has more bullet velocity, shooting somebody at 1 yard versus shooting somebody at 5 yards is going to have the same strength if the bullet velocity is that much stronger. So it doesn't make the gun stronger, it just doesn't make it weaker as it's traveling a certain distance. Now, on the other hand, damage range actually makes it a little bit stronger at a little bit more of a distance. It kind of like, you know, if you watch somebody's video on specifically about this, they can give you a better example than I can. But the brief summary of what I can give you is, at a longer range, this attachment here makes your gun stronger, and this one makes it so it doesn't get weaker, if that makes any sense. But somebody can give you a better explanation than I can. Now, this gives you a little bit of both. So sometimes I rock with this one in multiplayer, because sometimes you can't tell which one you should go with. So like me and Double, we normally like rock with this one. Now, if you really care about jumping, you can put this on, but this is the one that I would go with if I was playing multiplayer right now. But this is the one that I would actually rock in zombies, because let me just, I had a big debate on whether I should pick this or pick this, right? So basically, this is how it works. Your gun will be stronger at longer ranges. When it hits any part of the body, long range is going to hit something that's going to make it stronger. So this right here makes it so your headshots are stronger. Shooting specifically to the head only, it makes it stronger. It's a headshot multiplier, and I mostly shoot my enemies in the head. Now, this would, at a longer distance, make, let's say like I'm shooting an elite, but if I'm shooting an elite for a little bit further away, this would be better. But a lot of the stuff that I shoot is up close anyway. So to me, if this is, nothing else is unlocked, I would pick this, but this is the one that I would pick. Me shooting enemies to the head, it multiplies it and makes it a stronger hit. That's the one that I would go with. But it's all personal preference. Let me just say that. The under okay, now going to the under barrel category. This is one of the most important categories that you could pick in multiplayer, but it makes less sense in zombies. I'm not gonna say it makes no sense. I'm gonna explain what I mean. This is all mostly about controlling your recoil. You could your horizontal recoil if your gun is shooting all over the place. Yeah, it would your aim focusedness. A lot of this stuff makes perfect sense in multiplayer, but it doesn't make sense in zombies a whole lot. But let's say you really cared about putting, like for example, this particular gun, a grenade on it, or a smoke grenade, or you know, or a charger, and you had a specific challenge to do, then it might make sense. Or let's say that maybe one of the other categories might not be unlocked yet. So, or let's say like there's something that doesn't pertain to your style of play, or you're not feeling a certain attachment, then I'm not going to say putting on an attachment makes no sense of your recoil control, because in zombies, right, at least in this particular zombies, unless you have Deadshot Daiquiri right away. Deadshot Daiquiri clears all of this up, by the way. But let's say that you jump into zombies and you know that you don't have a perkaholic, and you know that majority of your game you're not going to be able to shoot them in the head. This is going to at least make it so it controls the recoil a little bit more. So I'm not going to say that it's terrible. It's a waste of time altogether, but a zombies player is not going to think that way. We're already used to Deadshot Daiquiri, and when we don't have Deadshot Daiquiri, we just kind of deal with what we can deal with. So if all of these other attachments, or let's say like another attachment, and I had that extra slot, then yeah, I would probably put on this one, because this one helps me with my control a little bit. That's coming from a multiplayer guy. That way it's not shooting all over the place. But since I have every single attachment available to me, I usually skip this one unless some of these down here don't make sense. So I'm going to leave this one off for now. Going to the magazine. The magazine, the one that I would pick right here, this is the perfect one, because it gives you ammo more than the factory, but it doesn't give you any cons. So this is the one that I would definitely pick if I was playing multiplayer. But in zombies, unless a gun like an LMG has a really problem with like reloading, I would basically try to get the biggest magazine I can possibly get. And on top of that, the perks help a lot. Speed Cola is actually pretty decent. So even with my reload being slower, it's not going to be so bad that it's bothersome. But there are certain weapons that the reload is probably terrible, like a shotgun. I would probably go with it being a faster reload. But other than that, I would pick especially specifically with an assault rifle, most of them, I would go with the biggest magazine I could possibly get. So that's the one I'm going to go with. Now, the red grip. The red grip, first, one thing I want to do is I'm going to look at every single one of my options first. Alright, based on everything that I see right here. By the way, none of these is a bad choice. It's all about personal preference. But I'm just going to just pick the quick jaw grip. But I don't want to just pick it. I just want to explain why I'm going to get it. So this is one of the reasons why the video might be a little bit longer. I apologize for that. In zombies, right, you don't really care about sliding. Well, sliding is self-explanatory. Jumping, the sprint is self-explanatory. But not everybody might not know what sprint the fire is, for example. This is the one that I would pick, by the way, if I was in multiplayer, because it gives you aim down sight. The jumping, sliding, forth and back, I don't really care about that. I really mostly care about aim down sight speed and sprint to fire. And this one gives you the most sprint to fire. But I'm going to explain what that means in case you don't know. If I'm going after somebody that's right in front of me and we all running the same distance, and then we're about to get into a gunfight, the moment that I have to stop and then fire my weapon, and then he has to stop and fire his weapon, I can have a much stronger weapon than he does. But if his sprint to fire is much faster, then he can stop sprinting and then fire at me before I can stop sprinting and fire at him. So there's a chance that he's going to probably win that gunfight, even though I might have a better gun, because he started firing before I did. Sometimes in a gunfight, whoever fires first is the one that wins. And I think that's the same whether you're playing hardcore or core. The person that shoots first usually wins. It doesn't matter. So this is kind of important. But so this one that I probably would rock with in multiplayer, maybe this one, because this is all balanced. It helps with everything. It doesn't just help with just that one thing. But in zombies, I care more about, I camp a lot. So me aim, shoot to activate my deadshot daiquiri. I'm gonna be aiming and shooting a lot. So the faster I can aim down sight and shoot again is better. And this is the one that gives you the best aim down sight. So this is the one that I would go with. Now, moving on to the stock. Let me look at all of these options first. Well, the first thing that I like in this category is the only thing that's a con is this one. And this is the one that I would probably consider in multiplayer because it controls your recoil a lot because your gun be shooting all over the place. Flinch resistance, aim, walking speed, that's not as important. In case you don't know what flinch resistance means, I'm just going to explain it real quick. Let's say that like I have a sniper rifle, right? And somebody's shooting, I'm on target, right? I'm on target. And somebody shoots me once or twice. As I'm aiming at somebody, as I shoot, I'm gonna like flinch, as in move, right? So now I'm off target because my flinch resistance is bad. But if I'm shooting at somebody shooting at me, if somebody could shoot me and hit me, and I would probably just still stay on target, I probably would barely move at all because my flinch resistance is so good. You're basically, instead of saying flinch resistance, is like movement resistance, I guess, because you're going to be locked on, aimed on target at another player, and another player might shoot you, and your aim, if it's so, your flinch resistance is so good, you're still going to be locked on that player, and you're not even going to move. There's some times that I might shoot somebody once or twice, and their flinch resistance is so bad, they're not going to be on target anymore, as in they're not aiming at me no more. Therefore, I could probably kill them. So Yeah, that's kind of important. I think if you're mostly using a sniper rifle or LMG trying to shoot across something, you're locked on target. But this absolutely does nothing to zombies. And I already explained aim, walk, and speed. So yeah. So which one would I go with? I would go with this one because there are literally challenges in zombies that they ask you to hip fire, and there are a lot of times when you don't have that shot daiquiri, you're gonna be hip firing. This is gonna control your hip fire movement. So not your hip firing, but your hip fire movement. So it's gonna make it so you're moving around hip firing a little bit easier. So these other ones, yeah, this one does a little bit. This one just does more. I would go with this one. Now, your laser category. The laser category is the one you should stay away from at all costs if you're playing multiplayer, because it gives you your enemy's gonna know exactly where you are when you pick a laser. But it doesn't mean nothing in zombies at all. Zombies, you can put this on all day. Now, it's all about, so all of these cons is irrelevant. They all like dispose your laser where you are, but zombies don't care about that. So this is all about personal preference. Let me just tell you the ones that I would choose. This one gives you a red dot. This one gives you a blue dot, and basically it's going to help you with your hip spread. Not your hip fire movement, but your hip fire spread. It's going to make it so it's a little bit tighter in, and it's going to be easier to spread, because when you're shooting with your you don't know this, but when you're shooting at the hip, you're shooting at your hip, is like the accuracy is way off. And even in zombies, that affects you. So this is going to help you control your hip fire. It's going to make all your bullets a little bit tighter in, so you can hit your enemy a little bit better. This one is cool, and I really love that red beam, but I would go with this one because this is a three times accuracy, and this is a 2 times accuracy. So this is the one that I would go with. Now, the last category. Sometimes and the firing modes could be good and could be bad depending on the weapon, and if it's something that's bad, I'll skip it, and then I will probably pick the best choice in the underbarrel. But let's just see. I like to make my decision based on all of the options available to me. This is something that I'm gonna have to get back to you guys on, because when I looked at this for the very first time, bullet penetration for score streaks, I was like, you know what, score streaks is not in zombies at all, really, as far as enemies using it against us. But bullet penetration, I was like, what if I could penetrate the armor of a zombie better? But I was like, I think another YouTuber went into a mode, and he said he didn't notice any difference. So I have to do my own research. But as far as I know at the moment of this video, this does nothing to the armored zombies. But I will get back to you if I learn something else. Now, so for right now, I won't use this one at all. So this is the one that I would probably pick most definitely if I was playing multiplayer. It controls your horizontal and your vertical control, because these guns be shooting crazy, and you got to control your recoil as much as possible in multiplayer. But it's not that important in zombies. I'm not saying it's not important at all, but it's not the most important thing in zombies if you got Deadshot daiquiri at least. So bullet velocity, I already explained that. Your fire rate is pretty cool, but the cons is not that bad, because your recoil with the bullet, your horizontal and vertical, I already explained that. I already explained the bullet velocity. You're gonna lose one part of damage range, but if you're gonna get that much fire rate, it might be worth it. But let me look at the last option though. The last option is you're not gonna have the fire rate. It's gonna be slower, but it's gonna have that burst fire. It's gonna have that damage range. It's gonna have that headshot multiplier, which I already explained. It's gonna give you that damage range. It's gonna give you that regular damage. I'm sorry. So it's gonna shoot slower, but it's gonna be mad fast, mad stronger. I would go with strength over speed when it comes to zombies. I would probably pick this one maybe in multiplayer, but even though the recoil is going to be crazy, I'm not kidding myself. I'll probably go with the recoil control. But I would get why some players will probably go with this and try to control the recoil in other avenues. This one kind of makes sense a little bit more in multiplayer. This one makes sense in zombies. So that's the one that I would go with. And this is the one that I would have. And this is how my build will be. And I already explained this in another video, but just a quick tip. If you want to keep this setup how you want it, just make sure you put this on. But y'all already know that though. So anyway, I'm gonna end the broadcast now. If I made the video too long, I apologize, but I just wanted to explain everything. And like I said, I could do every single category, but those videos will probably be long too, so I'm just gonna end it now. So I'll check y'all later. Peace out.